Welcome to the Northeast Kingdom Voice. I'm your host, Scott Wheeler. Today, we have two guests who are specialty crop growers. They grow lavender. They are Michelle Judd and Pierre Capron. Welcome to the show.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
When I think of farming, I think of corn, I think of vegetables, but I have never heard, well, I guess I have heard of lavender, but I've never thought about growing it. How did you happen to get into that? Because you grew up on a dairy farm, correct?
I did grow up on a dairy farm. After I grew up on a dairy farm, years went by. I since have lived in my grandparents' home. I met Pierre, he moved in, and we decided to grow lavender to repurpose our family's agricultural land. So because dairy farming isn't a very viable source of income financially these days, we wanted to use the land that we had, but in a different way.
Right. So why lavender?
Well, we looked at a lot of different ways to diversify our agricultural land. Lavender is one of the highest grossing organic crops that you can grow. There's a lot of uses. It's been, holistically used in medicine for thousands of years. Right. So, that's what we chose.
Right. And have you ever used lavender yourself beforehand?
We had some experience with essential oils. We did a lot of research. We did a lot more learning. This is definitely more learning the entire avenues of lavender, not just the farming of it. There's a lot of holistic and therapeutic benefits, whether it's relaxation or healing, things like that. So we've done a lot of learning. There are some business models around that do lavender, so we've done a lot of research as far as not just growing it, but building a business around it, whether it's agritourism or the actual plant itself from the products that we make.
Is this one of the only ways, well, not just lavender, but by expanding on what we think of as agriculture, is it the only way that we can save some of our farmland?
I think that we have to repurpose farmland in the state of Vermont for people to continue to live and raise families the way we do. We are very adamant in raising our kids on a farm and not in the city, so to speak.
Because it wasn't too many years ago, all of a sudden these beautiful creatures started showing up now, alpacas. And that's another way.
Another specialty crop farm.
Right, and now this seems only logical. Now here's the first photo, and it shows your land over. Does it overlook the lake? Is that the lake I can see?
Yes, that's Lake Magog. We happen to be near the top of Nelson Hill on Herrick Road, and our views are nearly 360 degrees.
Right. So when did you start growing?
We started growing lavender in 2017. Lavender is a perennial. It takes about 3 years to come to maturity. So 2017, it was really just kind of a crazy idea. We've kind of melded to that and grown our ideas to get what we have today and offering at the farm. It's definitely been a learning curve.
So how many acres do you have? Or do you measure it in acres, or?
We kind of measure the number of plants,
right.
Really is how a lavender farmer measures their lavender, but in your terms, we almost have an acre planted currently.
We currently have about an acre planted in rows of lavender. We have another 1 acre or so prepped for field planting this spring to include a labyrinth and plans for a gazebo, small retail barn, and distillation shed.
Right. So have you been open to the public yet, or is that just new this year?
That'll be totally new this year. This will be the first year that we're open to the public.
Right.
We did have some friends in a small test market for a couple of our experiences, one being like a date night experience that we offer at the farm.
Okay, and here is your date night experience.
Ah, yes.
So explain that.
So date night is an experience that we just kind of brainstormed. Michelle and I very much fell in love being able to speak to each other and talking to each other, spending time with each other. And in today's hustle and bustle world of electronics and 2 jobs and kids and all these things, a lot of times it's very difficult to get that one-on-one time. In today's offerings for an adult, a lot of times you find yourself faced with the choice of a bar or a restaurant. So our date night experience is these beautiful panoramic views in this amazing, very peaceful Zen setting. A fire table and maybe a nice little gazebo.
We set up a very romantic setting for it. The whole idea was spawned where we were actually working in the lavender field one day, and he looked at me and he said, I'd kind of like to take you on a date here, but you know, it's kind of weird because we work here. And that literally spawned the idea of date night. If we want to go on a date on our own job, in our own field, in the quiet, why wouldn't everyone else? The view is amazing. It's beautiful. It's quiet. It's peaceful. It's country. It is everything you want Vermont to be.
Right. And here's another view of the field.
Yeah.
And so that's just another view of what stage are these plants at right now?
So that's a second year growth. That is a cultivar we call Hidcoat. We currently grow 3 cultivars, Hidcoat, Munstead, and another one called Phenomenal. We have a few more coming in this spring. English, a pink perfume,
Blue Provence.
and a Provence. So they're not all great for this climate. So there's a little bit of a learning curve there as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. How do they? So have they? Can you tell yet whether they've survived the winter well, or is there any indicators yet?
We cover our lavender in the winter. The first year we didn't do an adequate cover. The second year we definitely changed our ways. We have covered very heavily. We have checked our crop since winter. We kind of peeked underneath our cover to see what we see. We do see life. We see growth. Right now we have 1 year and 2 year. This will be their 3rd spring coming up. So each plant will be at a different stage. It's not uncommon that lavender will have some die off each year. Most lavender farmers will, fill in the holes, so to speak, as it goes, because the lavender perennial plant can live up to 20 years.
When you were growing up on the farm, did you also grow corn?
We did not. We grew grass.
Right.
Just grass, nothing else.
Right. So, but do you think growing up on a farm helps you with this?
Oh, absolutely. The things we learned from our parents and our grandparents especially are invaluable. That's something we really hope to instill. If we could teach our kids a quarter of what our grandparents taught us, we will feel like we're doing a number.
Now, your parents still live on the
My parents farmed for over 30 years. They don't farm any longer, but they farmed right next door.
Have they taken an interest on what you're doing?
My parents have been so helpful to us between advice, the land, the tractor that they have loaned us. Without them, we would not have been able to do this.
Right. What about the kids? Have they taken a role?
Some of the fabric that makes us Vermonters, that makes Vermont so special to us, are a lot of the dairy farming ethics and responsibilities that you get from farming. So we've kind of removed the dairy, but the farming aspect of doing chores and getting your fingers dirty and reaping their benefits and rewards are things that we want to pass on to our kids for sure.
And they know how to weed. They're learning about lavender too. They actually, this year, we are planting a pumpkin patch, and we are addressing this small pumpkin patch as the kids' project. So that when people come to the farm, it's not just, oh, look at the lavender. There'll be other things. We have a couple other herbs that we're planting, but the pumpkin patch will be for the kids. We're going to teach them how to plant it. We'll teach them how to teach other people about it.
Yeah, I was going to ask. He mentioned goats.
Goats and chickens.
Yeah, goats and chickens. I was going to say throwing a few alpacas in there.
Yeah, so we're not trying to have a petting zoo, but if you were to come to our lavender farm, maybe you and your wife would enjoy your lavender. Maybe your grandchildren would like to do something as well. We're gonna have goats you can feed by hand, and maybe chickens you can feed by hand.
There's an old donkey on the farm. We've got a pond with some koi.
We certainly want it to be a farming experience for sure.
Right. Now here's a close-up view.
Oh yeah, amazing what cell phones can do today. I took that as a very vivid photograph of what the beauty is in the lavender field. Right. We will also be breaking ground on a beehive this year. We want to foster bees. We are currently in process of having a pollinator grant. We have a number of people coming to see us in the month of May.
Yep, USDA comes in May to check for the pollinator grant. The bees arrive May 12th.
Yep. So we want to take care of the bees and grow lavender. We look to grow maybe some herbs as well. We've thought about mint and maybe chamomile.
Right. So now about lavender. What is it used for? What is it used within?
So lavender has a ton of healing benefits. It is known to be antibacterial, antifungal. It helps with swelling and redness, rash. Insects don't like lavender. It makes a great natural insect repellent. Deer don't eat it. It is good for relaxation. The aromatherapy values of it go up into your brain. It triggers your lymphatic system, which then triggers the production of serotonin, which is the happy drug. Yeah. So lavender has a lot of not just topical benefits, but aromatic benefits as well.
Have you started getting a market out there for it in
Absolutely.
the great big world?
Absolutely. Education is definitely power with lavender, for sure.
Right.
So we came to retail with about 13-ish products just before Christmas. We grouped some of them in gift baskets, and they were well received within the community and within our customers. We have lotions, hand soaps, a bunch of different lavender products. I'd like to definitely note that they are 2% essential oil dilution. Whether it is our aromatherapy blend, which is more than one essential oil, or if it's just our straight lavender oil blend, they're 2% dilution, which is a full therapeutic value. So they're not just something that looks good and smells good. It actually has holistic benefits as well.
So here's another photo. What is that of some of your stuff?
Yes, that is a display that we put up at the school when we first got started. We actually put it up in our kids' school, and it shows an array of our products. And like you said, all the products that we have 2% essential oil dilution, and that's what makes us different than just any other smelly lotion on the market. We hand blend them at our home. We use our lavender oil, and it has holistic benefits.
Right. Are you starting to get a name for yourself yet?
We have created quite a buzz. We have, because we've been planting for a year or two, and the kids talk about it, and some of our friends have been the sample people for a year ago. We were making products to see what we wanted to do, what we didn't want to do. We've created a buzz, we've created an excitement, and people are anticipating now the opening of the farm.
Right.
So we certainly would like to create more of a buzz, and it's not just for our benefit. We feel like the lavender itself has a lot of benefits, and it can benefit the community as well. If people would come to the farm for agritourism events, then they'd come to your store, and they would come to your place of business as well. So we've created a Facebook group. Right. It's Lavender Essentials of Vermont group. Community page. It is just information sharing about flowers that help supplement lavender and bees, and it's about how to plant, and I'm doing a how we do it planting video. Right. I'm not a certified horticulturist, but we are successfully planting lavender and growing it. So I'm doing little short videos of how we're doing that. We're taking lots of videos and pictures. It's for anybody to share information. We certainly would encourage the community to take part in that group.
Now, the other thing is, there's a lot of talk about young people leaving, and I know, I assume you folks are in your 40s, but still, you and even to my degree myself, we're still on the. I'd still like to think that we are still on the younger scale compared to others, but a lot of people are leaving. Even
we're Vermonters that never left.
Right.
Never. We've been here the whole time, and we grew up on farms. We were becoming a small population.
It is extremely hard to live in Vermont in general. Financial difficulties, surrounding income opportunities, more taxes. It's always a challenge. I don't ever feel like it's ever going to go away. Life is a challenge. We love it here. We feel like the benefits far outweigh the negative aspects of living here. We feel like this lavender opportunity for for our own financial gain, but also for education, is probably a good opportunity for a lot of other people as well.
Yeah, I've watched, and as you folks have watched, is there has become a lot of these niche businesses that are starting to grow here because, I know it's easy to say nothing goes on here, but I've watched, as I said, even with the alpacas and the different animals and different now, your growing lavender, I think there's an increasing number of people who are starting to utilize the land in a different way, and as I said, to keep the land open, but also in hopes of being able to stay here yourselves.
Right. So we've also just recently attended the tourism summit in Burlington, and we met with many different tour bus operators and the like. And what they told us, quite simply, was there are people from all over the world that would like to see a Vermont farm, a Vermont town, a Vermont farm, and the Vermont experience, that thing that we sometimes
That we
don't
take for
appreciate,
granted as-
right? But is so unique to just where we live.
Right. Yeah, because I know over the years there's been different things. It's like I remember there was one time they provided tours to the different farms, and I believe those were just alpaca farms, but so I've seen them do that where you actually had a trail that you could go, basically a
Right.
trail, and but what the other place is that J Peak and Burke Mountain. What a lot of people don't realize about those places, they attract people from all over the world.
Right, they do.
And they're a captive audience up there, and if you can attract them to your, business, that would be great too, because of the simple fact is not saying that they're better than us or we're better than them, but they have different views, and I have a feeling they would love to see what you offer.
We certainly have been hard on the marketing and self-promotion trail. We are pairing with some local businesses, hotels, and things in the Caledonia County. We're also Vermont Trail Systems. We're going to have some products available on their trail dinner trains.
Right.
We are looking to create a bath and body set for hotel offerings. We are definitely, Michelle has recently offered simple syrup, a lavender simple syrup. You might think to yourself, wow, that's interesting. Lavender is used in culinary ways. It definitely has a bouquet to it. It's definitely very unique. But she made a lovely simple syrup that can be used in cocktails, on desserts, and things. So really, we're excited to offer new products and get out there and do it.
From a business owner myself, I can say you've obviously done your homework.
We have done a ton of homework and research.
Right, because the thing is growing, doing what you love to do is one thing, but trying to tell the world
Is
about
another thing.
That's the key thing. But fortunately, social media or just the internet in general, that really helps too, because you have to use so many venues to try to figure out what works for you.
Right, absolutely.
So we also went to the United States Lavender Growers Association
Conference.
biannual conference in Charleston, South Carolina this winter.
Yeah.
And we took a keynote meeting, and what they told us is it was about community.
Right.
So, for instance, our community page, we don't offer anything for sale on our community
Right.
page. What we do offer is information.
And support.
Like the quote-unquote how we do it video series.
Yeah.
You would think to yourself, geez, aren't you wasting your time? But I'm really not. What I'm doing is I'm offering you information, and I'm offering somebody else information, and creating a sense of community that way. You're probably going to think about me
Right.
the next time you think about a lavender place, because I'm your go-to.
Absolutely.
We have people that message us privately, well, message me and ask me, hey, I bought a lavender plant, why didn't it live? Or I have this, do you think it will grow here? Or what should I do? So they're looking to us for advice because we have what makes it work. We feel very fortunate that we have is so unique.
You know what is, you're absolutely doing the right thing. I will tell you that. It took me almost 20 years to be able to nail some things down, but that theory, because sometimes you actually have to do things almost for nothing.
Well, it seems like it's nothing, but
no,
it seems like it is,
right,
but it's really not.
Right, and that's what I'm saying is you think you're not. You might not get monetary back in the sense immediate.
It's not instant gratification, but if we build a community and we have thousands and thousands of people that are involved in and that are followers, it makes perfect sense to me that we will in turn be successful.
Right, absolutely.
Information is power, and information is everywhere with Google and the internet, but people want personalized information from experience at this point. We've had Google, we've had, look it up for your 10 reasons. Now you finally want someone, again, like it used to be, ask someone personally who's doing it. And we're trying to give you that personal touch.
You've really nailed it, I think.
So in addition to that point that we're kind of like hitting on currently, we'll be offering probably monthly workshops at the farm, and they will be basically the how we do it videos, but in real life. Some people don't want to watch a video. Maybe your mom or your sister or whatever is not a Facebook type of person. They'll be able to come to the video, or come to the farm. Admittance would be very, very minimal, and spend an afternoon on some tables and learn how to repot lavender plants, or learn the agricultural background of why we supplement our dirt with sand, or how often we water, or phytophthora, which is a root rot disease very specific to lavender, how to fight it and combat it, different things like that.
Have you ever thought about, in some cases, maybe initially taking some of your shows on the road too, setting up, doing some of these as well, and
like craft fairs and things is what you mean?
Or like, like for example, I'll give you another example with the resort, because I have a great working relationship with the resorts, and sometimes if like I'll set up at them, or I'll do a speaking engagement, and then it attracts interest.
Right.
And so if you were able to, I'm not saying at the resorts, but at different places.
I'd be happy to teach a class on lavender. Absolutely.
Right. And
Absolutely.
Sometimes those things really pan out in that. But it looks like you're striking all kinds of avenues.
One of the other reasons we wanted to do the farm meetings wasn't just for us to show about lavender, but was to invite other farmers to our farm to talk to each other, to network together, to realize that just because you're growing something you don't think everyone else cares about, if you have just some garlic and some corn, maybe you could turn your farm with a little bit of tweaking into an agricultural tourism. We learned at the Vermont Tourism Summit that there is a big hole in the market as far as agritourism goes. There's a lot of apple farms, there's a lot of sugar houses, there's a lot of dairy farms. There aren't really any lavender farms. You can't really go to a mint farm. There's no chamomile farms. There is a big hole in the agritourism business, and we want to encourage other farmers to find their niche in the specialty crop business.
Yeah, because too often, not only just in farming, but anything is people follow each other.
Can't be a follower.
And so the thing is, sometimes you might have too much, all of a sudden you have this, what was a unique thing, and now everybody else is doing it. But are you the only? Is there other lavender farmers in Vermont?
So to your point, there's a handful of other lavender farms. I don't know exactly how many lavender farms. We visited 3 or 4 of them.
So far, to our knowledge, we have the most plants. To our knowledge, we stand corrected if we do not.
So what I would say to that point you were previously speaking about lavender and the niche business and the agritourism part, what we thought about when this kind of like really came to a solid idea was think about snowmobiling. We're avid snowmobilers, and we see a lot of folks from out of state, and bless their soul, they help support our businesses, but they buy lunch and they have a few drinks and they buy their snowmobile here and they get their ski pants here and they lodge here and they go to Rite Aid here and all these different things which really impact our community
Not
economically.
just the snowmobiling.
Now, if we think about our community. We think about the beautiful landscapes and the amazing sunsets and all these lakes and ponds and streams, which make it so enjoyable and important. And you think about all these things, we need to utilize them to try to create an agritourism market so that those dollars that are gained in the snowmobiling time from the tourism can also be gained at another time other than foliage or
Absolutely, I agree. So here's the last photo. It looks like a harvest.
That is actually our very first harvest sitting on our kitchen table. We had, I don't know, 3 or 4 giant totes of lavender that we carried in, and us and the kids, slow but surely, processed our very first
that was humble beginnings.
First crop.
Humble beginnings for
Yep.
sure.
It's a lot of work for what we considered kind of a small pile.
A side note to our lavender growing and new pick and retail products, we will be installing a lavender distillation facility this summer.
We're building a distill.
We're building a still.
Right.
It's much like an alcohol still, but you can be used to distill many different aromatics.
Not just lavender.
Right. So the still will be, up for rental if any community members have any items or aromatics that they need to have distilled. That will be
That's
an
something
option
we can
as
do.
well.
Do you know, I think it's in a similar vein. Back, there's maybe still some people who do it, but there were a large number of stills here, but cedar stills. I don't know if you're
For cedar
familiar.
oil?
Yeah, cedar oil.
It's really the same idea.
Right, and that's what I was kind of. What part of the plant do you actually use? Do you use the entire thing, or just the flowers, or?
So the oil is what we're really using, the
Right.
essential oil. Now, if you look at it microscopically, there's an oil gland,
Right.
and the highest concentration is in the buds.
Right.
Okay, but there's oil glands throughout basically the whole stem and part of the plant. So what we're doing when we distill the plant is we boil it or steam it.
Right.
Essentially, it releases the oil and the water, or we call it a hydrosol, and then it's oil and water. It separates naturally. We separate it then, and we will be offering lavender oil that we distill ourselves on the farm, and hydrosol as well.
And you should be able to come watch us distill.
Well,
It
yeah.
smells amazing.
Right.
I don't know if Todd, the producer, he might be up to it sometimes. Once you're in operation,
Check it
We
out.
would love to have them
do it-
come.
do it.
Absolutely.
All right, we only have about 5 minutes left. If somebody wants to learn more about you folks, how do they contact you? You're on the internet.
They can find us on our website, lavenderessentials.com. We also have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram page, and we have the community page.
So it's Lavender Essentials.
Lavender-essentials.com.
Right.
It is Lavender Essentials of Vermont is our Facebook page.
Right.
VT Lavender is our Instagram page.
Right.
And Lavender Essentials of VT at gmail.com is our email address.
Right. So are you really looking forward to spring? As
We
in
can't
when-
even wait. We
when-
have a ton of work in front of us, and we are eager to do it.
Have you wondered if spring's going to come?
I might have slept through it almost. Jeez. It was snowing this morning on Nelson Hill.
Yeah.
Snow's a good insulator, though, so
Right.
snow does not hurt the lavender in any way. So the snow is really just another day or two of insurance of rest before we work our tails off.
So what more would you like to know, just in like a 3-minute, what more would you like people to know about what you're doing?
You know what? It's $5 admittance. We open the end of June. Come on and check us out. You can't miss the experience. Sunsets are amazing. Hours are posted on our website, and we can't wait to see you.
Right.
We have a lot of things on the farm to make it very interactive. So you're not just going to walk and see the lavender field. We will have a dozen plus informational placards so that you can learn about the things you see. When you see the herbs planted, there'll be a placard about them. It will tell you each variety of lavender you're looking at and how each variety is different from the attractions that you see. We have a wind turbine there helping us generate electricity. We will have some placards that show you the views, what you're looking at when you're there. We encourage people to move. It's a good family event. It's good exercise. It's fresh air. It is exactly the Vermont experience we hope you're looking for.
And you're again located on?
We're on 2103 Herrick Road in Derby,
Right.
just about 2 miles from the interstate.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming on, and hopefully spring finally settles in, so your plants can start coming up, and it'll. I'll have to take a trip up there and see what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Come
thank
see us
you.
in June.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to the viewers for tuning in to another segment of the Northeast Kingdom Voice.